Hello everyone. In our last session or in our previous class, we have learnt about the first three stanzas of the poem The Schoolboy written by William Blake. So dear students, in our last class, we have studied the first three lines. I have already told you, first three stanzas of the poem reveals about the likes and dislikes of the child, and the last three lines of the poem reveals or asks the question to the parents and to the entire world. So we just glance at once, we just recall what we have studied till now. In the first paragraph of the poem, so here the boy is allowed to wake up on a summer morn when the bird sings on every tree and the distant huntsman blows his horn, winds his horn, and he also loves to sing with the skylark. So the child here is telling about all these natural joys, these three natural joys. Which are the three natural joys here? One is the summer morn, and when the summer morning the birds are singing on every tree and the huntsman's horn, and he loves to sing with a skylark. So these three the natural joys, and which gives him a good company. So that is why he calls these three natural joys as his sweet company. So in the next paragraph he tells that, but every thought of going to school, ಒಂದು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಆಲೋಚನೆ. ಯಾವ ಆಲೋಚನೆ? ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಹೋಗುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಏನನ್ನ ತಂದುಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ದ ಎವರಿ ಥಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಹಿಮ್ ವೆರಿ ಸ್ಯಾಡ್, ದುಃಖಭರಿತವನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಜಾಯ್ ಅವೇ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಎ ಕ್ರೂಯಲ್ ಐ ಔಟ್ ಒನ್. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಾಯ್ is telling that he finds the school miserable, and because he has to sit under a cruel eye of a teacher. So that is why he is calling, under a cruel eye of a teacher the little one spends the day in sighing and dismay. ನಿರಾಶೆಯಿಂದ, ದುಃಖಭರಿತವಾಗಿ, ನಿಟ್ಟುಸಿರಿನಿಂದ, ಭಯಭರಿತವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಗು ಕೂರಲೇಬೇಕಾದಂಥ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕವಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಗ್ರಾಫ್ he tells that, the schoolboy tells that, then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, one through with the dreary shower. So here the child expresses his tiredness and he sits unwillingly inside the four walls of the classroom. And also inside the four walls of a classroom, the child keeps under a control and the attack on him by the harassed personality of a teacher and unnecessary showering of meaningless words. So here the schoolboy calling the teacher's eyes as a cruel eyes. He has to sit under the cruel eye of a teacher. And he also tells in the third paragraph the learner's bower. What does it refers to? The learner's bower refers to the garden where the child can be taught in an interesting way. Only a nature accompanies him instead of a school teacher. Instead of learning inside the four walls of the classroom, here the boy wanted to learn in the atmosphere outside the school. So here, in this way, the poet here expresses the first three stanzas, that is the likes and dislikes of the child. So dear students, in the last three paragraphs we have to learn about the questions here. the child's questions, which are the questions he had asked till now. And here in the fourth stanza, from the fourth to sixth stanza, he is asking the question to his parents and to the entire world. So I'll just read out the three paragraphs. You just open your textbook and listen carefully. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child when fears annoy but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? Oh, father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day by sorrow and care's dismay, how shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer's fruits appear? Or how shall we gather what griefs destroy, or bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear? See how beautiful the words of Blake here. In the fourth paragraph here, we find two rhetorical questions of a child. One is, how can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing, and but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? These are the two rhetorical questions asked by the child here. Rhetorical question is a figure of speech that does not expect any answer here. So the questions are put across as opinion. According to their opinion only, the questions have asked here. So it is in the form of opinions, it is in the form of the questions. One individual has to give the answers. So just to see here, how can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? So here, the poet is saying that ಆನಂದದಿಂದ ಉಲ್ಲಾಸದಿಂದ ಹಾರಾಡುವಂತಹ ಅಕ್ಕಿಯನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಪಂಜರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಳಿತುಕೋ ಎಂದರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತಾನೇ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ child here, but droop is a tender wing and forget is youthful spring. So here, ಒಬ್ಬ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಬಾಲಕ ಆತಂಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿರುವಾಗ, ಭಯ ಕಾಡುತ್ತಿರುವಾಗ, ತನ್ನ ಕೋಮಲವಾದ ರೆಕ್ಕೆಗಳನ್ನು ಇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ತನ್ನ ಲವಲವಿಕೆಯ ಉಲ್ಲಾಸದಾಯಕವಾದ ಯೌವನದ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದ ಸೀಸನ್, ವಸಂತ ಕಾಲವನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ತಾನೇ ಮರೆಯಲಾದೀತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಗು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ದ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್, ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮರೆಯಲಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಗ್ರಾಫ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ four metaphorical words we can see in this paragraph. First one is, take down, bird. Bird means here bird that is born for joy. It compares to the child. And the second one is cage. Here cage is compared to what? The four walls of a classroom. ನಾಲ್ಕು ಗೋಡೆಗಳ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಮಗು ಕುಳಿತು ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ಕೇಳುತ್ತೆ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಪಂಜರದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. The third metaphor is a tendering wing. The tender wing here, the classroom is not the room for imagination for the child. There is no scope for his creativity to learn. ನಾಲ್ಕು ಗೋಡೆಗಳ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಬಾಲಕ, ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಗು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನ ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್, so it has the scope to create himself, create his creativity outside the classroom of the atmosphere. So who cares? At last is here it is saying who cares for him, for his imagination and his fantasies inside the four walls of a classroom. ಯಾರು ಕೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ದ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಮೆಟಾಫರ್ ಇಯರ್, ದ ಯೂತ್ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್. Youthful spring means it is a metaphor for the energy of a young boy sitting inside the classroom. But how to show the energy inside the classroom when he inside the four walls? So that is a fourth metaphor, that is a spring season. Spring season is compared to what? Spring season is compared to childhood year. So here in this paragraph we can see so many metaphors here. One is in the first two lines, how can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? So here the poet is compared a schoolboy to a caged bird within the four walls of a classroom, and he does not feel comfortable and in restricted learning. He does not feel comfortable in the restricted learning atmosphere, and he is forced to attend the class, but due to the fear and due to so much of care, he consider learning is a burden. Due to so much of care and due to so much of fear, ತುಂಬಾ ಭಯದಿಂದ ತುಂಬಾ ಕೇರ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಿಂದ ಮಗು ಏನಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ದ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ಹುಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಬರ್ಡನ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ವೇ ಅವನೊಳಗೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಮಗುವಿನ ಒಳಗೆ ಅಂತರ್ಗತವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರತಿಭೆಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶವಿಲ್ಲದಿರುವುದನ್ನ ಆತ ಸಹಿಸಲಾರ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಟ್ ಡ್ರೂಪ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟೆಂಡರ್ ವಿಂಗ್ and forget is youthful spring. So in this way he asks the question to the entire world here. So in the next paragraph he says that, "O father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in a springing day by sorrow and care's dismay." Here the schoolboy is specific and he directly attacks his parents. So he addresses them directly. How? "Oh father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day by sorrow and dismay." ಸೊ ಅರಳುವ ಹೂವುಗಳನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಮೊಗ್ಗುಗಳನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಚಿವುಟಿದರೆ, ಅರಳುವ ಹೂವುಗಳನ್ನ ಕಿತ್ತು ಎಸೆದರೆ, ಇಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಟಾರ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ what does it mean here? If people start torturing the child, what was the next statement? ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನನ್ನ ಕಾಣಬಹುದು, ವಾಕ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪೂರ್ತಿಯಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಎನ್ನುವುದನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಮನಿಸಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಗ್ರಾಫ್, ಇನ್ ದ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಗ್ರಾಫ್, there are so many metaphors here. We can see that first one is blossoms blown away. Here a little grown up of young boy plant is a metaphor for a college student. Of all them are sitting in the classroom or in the sorrow and dismay. So here the poet compares the schoolboy to a plant and asks the parents if the child provided or deprived from freedom. ಸೊ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯವನ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಎಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕವಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಬೈ ಕಂಪೇರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಾಯ್ ಟು ಎ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್, ಒಂದು ಸಸ್ಯ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಗಿಡಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಶಾಲಾ ಬಾಲಕನನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಲಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಲಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. compares a schoolboy to a plant and asks the parents the question. ಏನಂತ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗಳಿಗೆ? ಇಫ್ ದ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ ಡಿಪ್ರೈವ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯವನ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. And if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day by sorrow and dismay. So here, for the child, the childhood with the nature, it can't before, after the old age or after the youth, he or she, they can't face the difficulties of the life in their youth and their old age. ಸೊ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಮಗುವಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಟ್ಟಂತಹ ಪಾಠವನ್ನ, ಪರಿಸರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಟ್ಟಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ಕಲಿತ ನಂತರವಷ್ಟೇ ಮಗು ಯೂತ್, ಯೌವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಏಜ್, ವಯಸ್ಸಾದ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ಕಲಿತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಸೊ ಮಗು ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಯೌವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ವಯಸ್ಸಾದ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತಹ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಫೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೌ ಟು ಫೇಸ್ ದ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲೈಫ್ ಇನ್ ದರ್ ಯೂತ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ದರ್ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಏಜ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಹಿಯರ್ ದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಾಯ್ protests against the authoritarian ways of teaching and the cruel outworn eyes and the whole setup which is rigid inside the classroom. Here he says that sorrow and cares dismay. What does it mean? It is taking too much of care, it spoils the beauty of life. By taking too much of care, by taking very much of care, it spoils what? It spoils the beautiful life of a child. So that is what he is telling, that the boy needs the space for himself that is completely his own. So that is how, unfortunately, here the parents as well as the teachers are taking too much of care of the child. So here, unfortunately, the constant care by the parents, the constant attention by the teachers, it spoils what? It spoils the individuality and the privacy of the child. So that is why it creates sorrow for the child here. So in the same way, in the 6th stanza, he says that, how shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer's fruits appear, or how shall we gather what griefs destroy, or bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear? So here in this paragraph, the protest of the child makes him even more stronger in the final concluding stanza here. So ಬಾಲಕನ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಉಗ್ರವಾದ ಒಂದು ವಾತಾವರಣವನ್ನ, ಉಗ್ರತೆಯನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪಡೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದೆ ಎನ್ನುವುದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದಾಗಿದೆ. So here in this paragraph we can see the personification and metaphor. In the first line only we can see that, how shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer's fruits appear? So here it is an abstract concept. The summer represents the youthful days, and the spring, here the spring represents what? The spring represents the childhood, and summer represents what? Summer represents the youthful days of a child. So that is what he is saying here. In the old age, it is an unpleasant experience of life, and or shall we, he also says that, how shall we gather what griefs destroy, or bless the mellowing year when the blasts appear, when the blasts of winter appear? ಸೊ ಮಗು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ಹುಡ್, ಬಾಲ್ಯದ ಅವಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿತಂತಹ ಪಾಠ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? ಇನ್ ಯೂತ್ ಡೇಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಏಜ್. ಸೊ ಯೌವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ವಯಸ್ಸಾದ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ it will be useful what we have learnt, what the child has learnt ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So that is why here the poet William Blake compares the seasonal emotions here. One is spring season refers to the childhood, and the summer season refers to the youth days, and the winter season here refers to the old age. So it is an unpleasant experience of life. And the last metaphor here is also has done here. The last metaphor is the blasts of winter. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಯೌವನ, ಬಾಲ್ಯಾವಸ್ಥೆ, ಯೌವನಾವಸ್ಥೆ ಮತ್ತು the blasts of winter. What we have learnt, it is the result, that is it destroys what? It destroys the old age, the youth age. So ಅದೇನಂತಾರೆ, ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಂಟರ್, ನಿರಂತರವಾದ ಹಿಮಪಾತದ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಡೆಸ್ಟ್ರಾಯ್ಸ್, ನಾಶ ಮಾಡುತ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ. So here the parents and teachers represents winter here. Parents and teachers represents what? Represents winter. That means the old age. So that is in this paragraph here the poet expresses about the unpleasant experience of life. It is called winter. And W.B. Yeats represents not just himself in this poem. He also stands as a representative of all children inside the classroom. So dear students, thus the poet compares life to a sequence of seasonal sequences and its changes. He illustrates the severe experiences, severe effects of an authoritarian approach to education, but it does not arguing against education. According to him, according to the poet here, formal education does not only takes the joy of childhood, but also hinders the child's growth, forever. So dear students, in this way William Blake expresses in the poem The Schoolboy, it is about the effects of formal education on a person's life, and it curbs what? It curbs the potential of a learner, and he also says that how to face, he or she facing the difficulties of the life. And here for the schoolboy, the school life is uninteresting, and he finds joyful experiences outside the school. Thank you.